So, so a brand in a way, like an authentic personal brand, gives you permission to to be you. But because it's done, um, because what we do is honor your virtues and honor and to help you see what is beautiful about you, what's magnificent. Um, you don't have to become magnificent. So you don't have to put on a facade so as to maintain magnificence. It's like, no, no, no. Like, even at your self-perceived worst, you are still every single one of these elements through and through, always, all the time. And therefore you can show up like a big hot mess and be like, I can't stand something today, and be like, and we love you. So it's I think you use the word permission. It really, it does give you that. And so creating a brand from this is who I am, and I'm going to give myself permission to be that. I'm also going to give myself permission to see that, and I think love it, and then celebrate it. It's a very self-loving thing. It's also a very self-empowering thing to be like, this is me, this is me. And so it's very easy to maintain. You don't have to worry about brand integrity being an issue, you know, like the mismatch between your values and your aesthetics and like then what you do. It's like, no, no, you're always in alignment. And so there'll be a continuity and a trust and a professionalism. Even if shabby or disheveled is actually part of your nature and how you're expressing in this moment in time, like it's all right, because there's going to be a virtue within that of like, I'm au naturel or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and you know, even when you speak about this, I'm just relaxed. I'm like, yeah, I can feel the permission to just be yourself. So, um, something that I noticed with myself and many other people is that we feel like it's constantly changing what we are doing, what we do, what we offer, and how we describe it. And sometimes I know me, I was like that, and many people we got frustrated. You know, like, oh, last week this was who I am. Now I feel I need to rewrite it, and was a bit frustrating, and maybe sometimes even a feeling, oh, I'm not understanding what I'm offering.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
I would say that it's a very common experience. And I think when you're doing business in this way that it's from the soul, it's very present moment oriented. So you could call it doing business in a spiritual manner. Um, it's inherently organic. So it literally is constantly evolving. So like there just like with every part of a woman's cycle or every part of the seasonal cycle, there is a period of time where you can't see anything and you're like, is anything growing? And then as it starts to grow, you're like, what is it? So just like when a baby comes through, you know, at first it's beautiful and pure, and then you're like, what's its personality like? And so there is a period of time as your brand and your business and you and the collective evolves, where things that were clear and structured and grounded start to feel like they're not so something, either not so aligned, not so clear anymore, because maybe there's a change that's afoot within all of those aspects. And so when that happens, I just went through one of those myself with one of my clients. Um, it can, for us, it started to feel like we're pushing a boulder up a hill, because we were like, we finally nailed like the structure. We had run it a couple of times. It was working really well. Lots of really, really good feedback and results. And for the third round, we were running it. We were like, oh my God, like this is so hard. And like, why is this so painful and difficult? And we just finally finished it. But in the process of pushing that boulder up a hill, we were so energetically taxed. And we both had to step away. It was almost like got in a fight with like your partner or something. You're just like, oh, okay, just gonna take a vacation. So I feel like what I'm learning in those points of time, when the energy is not flowing, it's not clear, it's not spacious and grounded, it's it's a perfect time to inquire. And it's a
Mm.
perfect time to give it space, to allow it to change, to allow it to be unknown, and to put the question forth of like, what's next? How is this evolving? What wants to come through? What would I like to create? What would I like to let go of? And and to give the whole process, your being, the work, the community, the whole thing, to give it complete permission and space to evolve and to let certain things go and let certain new things in. And so it's I don't know. Again, contrary to what I've learned in business, it's like I I've learned that making big long-term plans is maybe not the wisest thing for me. Um, and it often is like whenever I'm like, okay, I get it, is when it starts to like all change
Yeah.
again. So so it's really prompted me to get very, very present and to just be really with what is right now and have no attachment, past or future, and be like, okay, here it is now. And then next month, it may be different.
I
So,
mean, this makes complete sense because this is those of us who are on the, let's say, spiritual path of self-healing, growth. We know, like we have learned by now, that what is now, like if we want to be present, we need to operate from what is now. So the difficult feelings, we acknowledge them, we don't push them away because it's not spiritual to be angry or sad. We acknowledge them and then we allow them to move, and then that's how we shift and we grow. And so it's the same with your brand, with your business. And I I was perceiving it from an old paradigm. So like I need to catch something and this is what it is and this is what I present, but it didn't let me. It didn't want to be caught because it was changing as I am changing, right? I
yeah.
think this is so freeing to say this, to really let people know, yeah, it's normal. Of course, you are growing, so your brand is growing and evolving as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't try to capture something when you see that it has changed. Allow that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that.
and we we don't have a lot of models for this in the online business empire. Everything in that empire is about external stability, external security and consistency. And even more so than that, we have other people outside of us giving us formulas for that stability. So it's like doubly
Yes.
external. So not
Yeah.
only are our structures, which are outside of us, consistent, but then somebody outside of that structure has then told us that this is the right one.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there in that model of inquiry.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there about uniqueness that actually says, you know what? I don't have a clue what kind of business structure is resonant for you, is supportive of your nature, of your values, of your gifts, of your audience in this moment in time. Like there's nothing in the paradigm that talks about nowness or about you-ness, let alone trusts that you have the answers
Yes.
because you're in
Exactly.
touch with all of those things more than anyone outside of you. So there's so much understanding as to why we feel like, oh, we've got to nail a consistent thing. And like once you get it,
Yeah.
it's like done because that's what we've been presented and that's what
Yeah.
we've been sold. And that's what all of those people who are operating from outside in, if I can call it that, let alone group them. That's what they're trying to find, and that's what they're making their money off of, and that's what they're building their clout from. And that resonates for an outside in kind of person.
Mm.
But I feel for you and me, for the people in Temple, the people that I work with, none of us resonate with
Yeah.
outside in. We
Yeah.
don't like being told this is the right way and the one way
Yes.
forever. We don't like being put into a box and we're like, ah! And so we like the freedom to breathe and evolve and grow.